All right, welcome back everyone to the podcast, episode 167. Today, we're taking a little trip back to the Nintendo 3DS.
Ah, a classic. But not just the 3DS itself, right? We're talking about an accessory that promised to make it less portable, in a good way? The Circle Pad Pro.
Exactly. The Circle Pad Pro. You know, adding that second Circle Pad for those games that really needed it. It docked onto the side of your original 3DS.
Okay, wait, let me get this straight. It bolted onto your 3DS and made it wider? Like, significantly wider.
Significantly wider, yes. And heavier. It definitely wasn't something you just slip into your pocket anymore. You were committing when you attached this thing. But the promise was better control, especially for certain types of games.
So what kind of games are we talking about here? Because I remember the 3DS library is rather large.
That's the key point, Jen. Compatibility. It wasn't for asterisk every times game. Think games where you needed more precise camera control, or perhaps aiming. Like third-person action or shooters. Games like Monster Hunter Generations, Kid Icarus, Uprising, Resident Evil, Revelations, Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater 3D. Those are some of the big ones that really leveraged it.
Monster Hunter Generations? I definitely remember hearing about that one benefiting. So for those specific games, it genuinely improved the experience?
Oh man, for those games, it made a world of difference. Especially in Monster Hunter, moving the camera and controlling your character felt so much more natural with that second stick. It felt like I was playing on a console, almost. It made those experiences much smoother, and, dare I say, more immersive.
Okay, so if you played one of those compatible games, it was a win. But what about everything else? Because a lot of people probably just bought it hoping it would work with more things.
And that's where you see a bit of a divide in the community feedback. Those who primarily played the supported titles, like the Monster Hunter crowd, they often loved it. They appreciated that extra control. But if you bought it hoping it would magically give you dual analog in, Animal Crossing, you were out of luck.
Right, so for a lot of people, it ended up being this bulky accessory that sat around because their favorite games didn't support it?
Pretty much. You see forum posts, like on GameFAQs back in the day, with users asking, is this game compatible? And often the answer was no. There was definitely some frustration about that limited compatibility. It felt a bit like buying a specialized tool for one very specific job.
I can imagine. And I've also seen some more technical discussions online. Like, people talking about custom firmware, or CFW. How does that tie into the Circle Pad Pro?
This is the interesting part. And where it gets a little ethically gray, as you mentioned, some users in the modding community have explored using custom firmware to asterisk try and force Circle Pad Pro support for games that don't natively support it. The idea is to maybe remap controls or inject functionality. It's a testament to how much some players wanted that second stick.
Okay, wait. So people were messing with their 3DS's operating system just to make this accessory work with more games? That's dedication.
Essentially, yes. Now, finding a consistent, easy solution is another matter. Based on what I've seen, there wasn't a widespread, simple CFW hack that suddenly made every times game work perfectly with the Circle Pad Pro. But the fact that people were even exploring it shows that desire for broader compatibility. It speaks to that user demand.
And that brings up some ethical questions, right? Modifying your console, potentially going against Nintendo's terms of service. What's the community stance on that?
It's a debate within the modding world, for sure. Some see it as extending the life and functionality of hardware they own, a way to get more value. Others view it as tampering. Nintendo's official stance is pretty clear. Unauthorized modifications are not supported and can lead to bans. So it's a sensitive area. And something listeners should be aware of goes on in the community.
Completely understandable. Now, the Circle Pad Pro was for the original 3DS models. Then Nintendo comes out with the new 3DS, which has its own little nub, the C-Stick. How does that compare?
Right. The new 3DS incorporated a small C-Stick directly into the console design, above the face buttons. The goal was similar. Provide additional control options without needing an external accessory. It was a much more integrated solution, something you didn't have to clip on and off.
How did users feel about that? Was the C-Stick as good as the Circle Pad Pro?
It's subjective, honestly. The Circle Pad Pro has a larger, more traditional analog pad feel, The C-Stick on the new 3DS is more of a pressure-sensitive nub. Some users preferred the feel of the Circle Pad Pro, especially for precise movements in games like Kid Icarus. Others appreciated the convenience of the integrated C-Stick on the new 3DS, even if its feel was different. It really depended on what you valued more.
So it was a bit of a trade-off. Convenience versus potentially better feel with the external accessory. And also, you had to buy a whole new console to get that integrated solution.
Exactly. And as the new 3DS became the dominant model, more new games were designed to use the C-Stick built-in functionality, making the Circle Pad Pro less and less relevant for new releases.
It's interesting how one accessory can sort of influence future hardware design. It's like the Circle Pad Pro was the prototype for the C-Stick, in a way.
There's definitely a line you can draw there. Nintendo saw that there was a segment of their audience who wanted or needed that second control input for certain types of games, and the new 3DS design reflects that understanding.
Looking at where gaming is going now, with VR, AR, mobile, cloud gaming, do you think we'll see accessories like the Circle Pad Pro in the future? External add-ons for more control?
That's a fascinating question, Jen. I think the need for enhanced input methods is always there, especially as gaming gets more complex and diverse, but the form factor might change drastically. VR controllers offer something completely different. Mobile gaming often relies on touch, or increasingly, Bluetooth controllers. Cloud gaming can use standard console controllers.
So maybe not a nut and bolt onto your device kind of thing, but some other external way to get more precise control.
Potentially. Or maybe it informs integrated designs, like how the new 3DS learned from the Circle Pad Pro, understanding why times people wanted that second stick. What games benefited. That historical data can definitely inform future hardware design. It's about understanding the user need.
It's interesting how even a seemingly simple accessory can spark so much discussion and have such distinct impacts depending on the game and the user. The Circle Pad Pro, making your 3DS less portable, for better or worse. It's a real piece of gaming history.
For sure. A niche product, but a memorable one for those who used it with the right games. And a good lesson in the complexities of compatibility in the world of gaming peripherals. It wasn't perfect, but for a specific audience, it was quite beneficial.
Absolutely. And it shows that sometimes, even perceived limitations with hardware can lead to innovative solutions and eventually, integrated improvements. A neat little case study in gaming evolution.
Well said. It's the sort of thing that gets you thinking about user experience design in gaming. What compromises are players willing to make for better control?
Exactly. And what does that tell developers about what kind of control schemes players prefer for different genres? It's a feedback loop.
It is. And the Circle Pad Pro was definitely part of that feedback loop for Nintendo.
All right, well, that's another episode wrapped up. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into a rather specific gaming accessory.
Always a pleasure. It's fun to revisit some of these less discussed parts of gaming history. Hopefully, it gave our listeners something to think about.
Definitely. And if you had a Circle Pad Pro, we'd love to hear about your experiences. Were you in the Monster Hunter camp or the why doesn't this work with everything camp?
Yeah, hit us up on social media. We're always curious to hear listener feedback and stories.
We are indeed. All right, until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.